When a man notices that you've moved on calmly, the first thing that usually gets hurt isn't always his heart, it's his ego. That might sound a bit harsh, but it's the truth. For a lot of men, especially the ones who walked away thinking they had the advantage, your reaction or the lack of one is what they were relying on. They expected you to fight back, to show emotional chaos, maybe to send long late-night texts or to pour out your feelings suddenly. But when all they are met with is silence, calm, steady, grounded silence, it deeply unsettles them. You see, ego doesn't grow from chaos, it grows from feeling important. And in many breakups, even when things end, the ego still craves to feel needed, like it still has a hold over your mind and heart. But when you don't argue to prove anything, when you don't rush to be understood, when you don't try to explain yourself or win him back, you tell a very different story. You show that you've already let go inside, that you don't need outside closure to stand firm in your decision, that you're not sitting around hoping for a response to feel validated. That's the sign of a woman who is rooted in her own strength, and that strength is terrifying to a man who believed he would still be significant to you. He might not even know how to put it into words, but inside, something shifts. This is not the version he imagined in his mind about how you'd act. He thought you'd fall apart. He thought you'd chase after him, cry or collapse, not evolve, not rise. And when you do, calmly, without any dramatic scenes, it leaves behind a haunting kind of silence, the kind that says, she's really done. In that moment, he might not openly admit it. He might act as if he's cool, as if he's unbothered, maybe even pretend to be happy seeing you doing fine. But inside, a recalculation is happening, because your peace speaks louder than any words ever could. Your peace sends a clear message. You weren't waiting around for him to come back. You weren't depending on his attention or approval to start feeling alive again. You felt the pain, processed it, and came out on the other side stronger and lighter. There is something so incredibly powerful about a woman who isn't bitter. When you're angry, when you're hurting, there's still an emotional string connecting you to him. It shows you still care in some way. But peace is a different language. Peace is silent confidence. It says, I've made peace not just with what happened, but with the version of me that once accepted less than I deserved. That version of you no longer needs to explain or prove anything to anyone, especially not to him. And don't get it wrong, this doesn't mean he's sitting somewhere crying over you every second of the day. People deal with loss differently. But in those quiet, still moments, maybe late at night, maybe when a familiar song plays, maybe when someone casually asks him why it ended, that's when it hits. That's when he feels it. The deep sting of knowing he can no longer reach the woman he once thought would always be there. That chapter of the story is closed, and it wasn't ripped out in anger or set on fire. It was gently turned over with grace. Quietly moving on is one of the most powerful things you can ever do. It doesn't make loud announcements about healing. It doesn't shout about growth with long captions on social media. It simply exists. In the way you laugh, in the way you light up from within, in the way you start doing things for yourself, not to prove anything to anyone. You stop checking if he's watching your stories, you stop caring if he notices, you're not performing anymore, you're just living. And the man who once thought he was at the center of your world, he's now just a bystander, watching from a distance. And here's the best part. You didn't do any of this for him. Your peace wasn't some plan to make him regret it. It wasn't a trick to get a reaction. It was something you built through lonely nights, through moments when doubt crept in, through days when you had to remind yourself who you are. Your peace is something you earned, not just by moving away from him, but by moving closer to yourself. That's the part he doesn't see. The sleepless nights, the inner work, the tough lessons you had to learn. All he sees now is the final result. A woman he once knew, now completely out of reach. And that's what hurts. Because deep down he knows Any door he tries to reopen now will only lead to a different version of you, a version he no longer knows how to reach. So yes, when you move on with peace, it doesn't just hurt his ego, it rewrites the whole story. He thought he'd be the chapter that broke you. Instead, he became the chapter that awakened you. And nothing unsettles a man more than realizing he was the lesson, not the happy ending. You know what's funny? When a woman moves on with real peace, without trying to prove a point, without needing to show off her happiness, something powerful happens. He starts to question his own worth. And this isn't about being full of yourself. It's human nature. When you stop giving your energy to someone, when you're no longer chasing or reacting, it leaves a gap. And in that gap, reflection starts. Whether he realized it or not, a part of him fed off knowing you cared. Even if you were silent, even if you kept your distance, deep down he believed he still mattered to you. That gave him comfort. But when that energy disappears, when he no longer feels you thinking about him, wondering about him, hoping for him, it hits him. He's faced with a mirror that asks, was I really as important as I thought I was? People don't always realize it at first. It's not your anger that leaves the biggest impact. It's your absence. When someone knows they can trigger an emotional reaction from you, they know they still have a little control. But when you don't react anymore, when you no longer feel emotionally tied to them, it leaves a hole, and inside that hole, realization grows. He might start replaying old conversations in his mind, moments when you tried harder, when you loved more, when he gave you coldness in return, and he'll wonder why he didn't see it then. Ironically, it's not when he had your attention that he realizes your value. It's after it's gone. After the stillness settles in. You didn't leave in a storm of anger. You didn't burn bridges behind you. You didn't go online and throw shade or post quotes hoping he would notice. You simply left, quietly, with grace. And that's what shakes him the most. People expect heartache to look loud. They expect a dramatic meltdown. But when you show peace instead of pain, it completely throws them off. Maybe he thought he could always come back whenever he wanted. Maybe he believed you'd always be standing there waiting if he decided to turn around. But instead, you kept walking. You kept growing. You stopped needing him to understand you, and you started to understand yourself. That kind of growth doesn't just confuse a man, it humbles him. Because it forces him to realize that your love wasn't guaranteed, that your loyalty wasn't something he could take for granted. And now that you've moved on, not because of anger, but because of clarity, he's left wondering, did I really deserve her? Did I mess it all up? And the truth is, he might never say any of this out loud. He might not tell his friends. He might not even admit it to himself, but it will be there, in the quiet moments, in the moments when he thinks about you, in the moments when he feels that familiar ache in his chest and realizes he let something amazing slip away. You realize you didn't move on to hurt him. You didn't move on to teach him a lesson. You moved on because you found your own truth. You found your own peace. And that's what stings the most. Not your absence, your evolution. He understood the truth is, when you've healed and moved forward, you give off a light that others notice. And that includes him. It's a small shift, but it's powerful. It's the kind of light that makes people, especially someone who once held your heart, wonder if they lost the best part of you. Here's the real twist. As he starts thinking back, he might even begin to respect you more. It's a quiet kind of respect. The kind that doesn't need to be spoken or confirmed. It's the kind of respect that only grows from seeing someone walk through pain with dignity, grace, and strength. And while he may never tell you that's the kind of respect that stays in his mind, there's a simple beauty in moving on peacefully. It's not about making a big scene. It's not about proving anything. It's about living your life in a way that shows you don't need anyone to complete you. You're already whole when you carry yourself with that calm confidence, with that peace. You become someone unforgettable. And trust me, he's seeing it now in a way he never saw before. When you let go of the past and step into your future with calmness and certainty, you create room for your own growth. And sometimes it takes that quiet space for him to realize that the person he walked away from was everything he needed. He can't get that back. That's a tough truth to accept when you stop reacting to him. Stop reaching out, stop explaining yourself or trying to prove your worth. Something deep changes you. Take your power back. And whether he says it or not, he feels it right away. There's this moment, soft but sharp, where he realizes the grip he had on you. Your feelings is gone. Not because you found someone else, not because you're angry, but because you're finished. Really finished. And there's nothing louder than the silence of someone who's found peace. See, when we're deeply involved, especially with someone who didn't fully value us, we tend to give too much. We answer their mixed signals, we stay in talks that go nowhere, we let them back in even after we said goodbye, because some part of us still hopes, still clings, still believes that maybe, just maybe, they'll change. And when a man sees that in you, that you still care, still want him, even when he's not ready to give back, there's comfort in that control, even a sense of power. It's not always done on purpose. It's just human. We all feel safe knowing someone is still emotionally tied to us, even when we don't feel the same. But then something amazing happens. One day the energy shifts. You stop waiting for his texts. You stop overthinking what he meant by that one comment. You stop giving your focus to someone who's not giving you steady effort. And you don't announce it. You don't create drama, you just choose yourself, quietly, fully, and without guilt. That is when everything flips. You're no longer playing the game. You've stepped away completely, not to prove anything, but because you now know you don't need to. Your peace became more important than his attention. And that is when he feels powerless, not because you hurt him, but because you no longer give him the chance to hurt you. It's not even about moving on with someone new. That's a common misunderstanding, that the only way to take back power is to find another person. No. The strongest move is making yourself the center of your life again. You pour into your growth, your health, your dreams. You reconnect with the people and things that make you happy, the friendships, the creativity, the small joys, all the things you might have set aside for someone who couldn't match your energy. And here's the truth. He notices. Oh, he definitely notices. Even if he stays silent, he feels it. Maybe it's the way you walk with more lightness. How your smile seems easier. How you don't keep checking your phone when he's around. Maybe it's the fact that you don't post emotional quotes anymore, or that you stopped liking his updates. There's no bitterness, no coldness, just a calm distance that says, I'm good without you. And that rattles him, because he used to control your emotions. He used to be able to make or ruin your day based on his attention. And now that power is gone. Not ripped away, not stolen, you simply released it. And by doing that, you took back a version of yourself that doesn't revolve around anyone else's approval. It makes him think, sometimes even obsess. He starts wondering, what happened? Why isn't she reacting? Why isn't she chasing? Who's she becoming now? That mystery, that change in your energy is often stronger than anything you could say, because it shows everything he needs to know. You've moved on, not with anger, but with calmness. And here's the deeper truth. When you leave with peace, you become unforgettable. Not because you created drama, but because you didn't. Because you could have fallen into the emotional chaos, but you chose grace instead. That's not just strong, that's rare, and he'll feel that absence long after you're gone. Because when a man realizes he lost access to the version of you that gave him so much love, care, and depth, that access he once overlooked, he's left with a hollow space, a silence, a memory of what he had but wasn't ready for. That's the power of choosing peace over performance. When you stop trying to be understood and instead focus on understanding yourself, you become magnetic in a way no chasing can ever copy. And that's when he knows you've truly moved on, and he can't do anything about it. He starts to wonder, who has your attention now? And that thought doesn't just visit his mind once, it lingers. It starts as a small curiosity, but it grows. You see, when someone realizes you've moved on, genuinely, not loudly, not bitterly, but peacefully, they understand they've lost their place in your life. And that's a strange, uncomfortable feeling for someone who once was so central to your world. Now every silence makes him question. Every photo of you smiling makes him wonder who made you laugh like that. It's not always a conscious thought. It's not always something he says out loud, not even to himself. But there's a discomfort there, a feeling of being replaced, or even worse, being forgotten. What really stings isn't just that you might have found someone new, it's that someone else now gets to experience the version of you he never really got the chance to know, the you who's wiser, more loving, towards herself, calmer. That version of you might now be in someone else's arms, and he knows he missed it. It's not only jealousy, it's the loss of privilege. The privilege of your mind, your heart, your kindness. And once he realizes that all of that attention has shifted somewhere else, it shakes him. You used to text him back fast. You used to pick up his late night calls. You used to worry about how he felt and what he needed. But now you're harder to read. You're focusing on your journey. You're not playing any games. You're simply not playing his game anymore. You're putting your energy into people who are steady, who are clear and sure, who deserve your presence. And whether he notices it through social media or hears about it from mutual friends or just feels it, he knows it. Trust me. He knows it. He might act like he doesn't care. He might pretend to be unaffected, but don't believe that. Because when someone who used to be your whole world sees that you have reclaimed it, the silence screams. It's in those quiet moments at night when he can't sleep that the thoughts creep in. Has she found someone who gets her better? Does he laugh at her jokes? Does he admire the way her eyes sparkle when she talks about her passions? And maybe the answer is yes. Maybe someone does see you now in a way he never could. And maybe that's what keeps him restless. It's important to remember, this isn't about revenge. This isn't about winning. It's not about making him regret. It's about finding so much peace within yourself that anyone who couldn't see your value feels the loss without you even trying. You didn't move on to hurt him. You moved on to heal. You chose yourself. And that choice opened doors for better love, better friendships, better everything. You stopped giving your time to people who didn't earn it. Now he feels the emptiness where your energy used to be. And that emptiness, it echoes. Because once someone feels the gap left by your peace, they know nothing they say or do will fill it again. He might still reach out. He might still test the waters, not to genuinely reconnect, but to see if he still matters. But you won't fall for it, because when you move forward with peace, you stop living for someone's validation. You no longer need proof of your worth. You already know it. And that realization stings him more than anything, because now it's not just about losing you. It's about losing access to the woman you're becoming. He's not just losing a girlfriend or a friend, he's losing the privilege to be part of your world. And that's not something you can buy back. You've built your peace, protected it, and now someone new might be lucky enough to feel the love born from your healing. That thought will haunt him more than you'll ever realize. And that's what truly hits hard. He doesn't even know who holds your heart now, and it's no longer his right to ask. There's something powerful, almost shocking about the way a woman can walk away quietly. No fights, no desperate texts, no petty posts, just peace. A stillness that says, I've made my decision and I don't need to explain it. That's the moment he feels it. And funny enough, for many men, it's not heartbreak that breaks them. It's your indifference. It's realizing you're not stuck in the past, not replaying old conversations, not waiting for closure. You're already ahead. You're not hoping for him to turn back because you've already moved forward. You found your own closure. That's when it truly sinks in. He might never say it, he might never text it, but trust me, he feels it. And if he does message you, it will come wrapped in casual words like, "Hey, just thinking about you." But deep inside that message is a fear, a question: how is she okay without me? How is she better than before? Why isn't she broken like I thought she would be? And the truth is, deep down, he respects you, even if his pride won't let him say it, even if he never tells anyone. There's a part of him that admires you, because grace is powerful. It's strength covered in kindness. It's the art of walking away, not with anger, but with self-love. And that kind of strength stays in a man's mind. He expected you to cry, to beg, to fight. He was prepared for drama, for chaos, anything that would remind him he still mattered. But you gave him none of that. You chose silence, peace, and in that silence he was left facing himself. That's when the real regret starts. He remembers how you stood by him, how you cared when it wasn't easy, how your energy felt like safety, and more than anything, he remembers the way you left with calmness, not hate, but clarity. Every new person he meets is measured against that memory, against you, because anyone can leave loudly, but very few leave with dignity intact. And the way you exited without blame or begging, you taught him a lesson about real strength and self-respect. And that memory will stay far longer than any fight or insult. He may act unaffected, he may jump into something new, but deep down, in quiet moments, he remembers your peace, your healing, your soft strength. And even if he never tells you, that echo will always be there, because some exits don't need an audience. Some closures happen in silence, and that's what makes them unforgettable. Because deep down he knows if he had shown up differently, if he had truly seen you for who you were, things could have been different. But now, watching you grow, glow, and rise without him, he feels the regret he never thought he would. He starts realizing something else too. You didn't try to make him feel small. You only ever wanted to love him right. But in the end, it's your peace that became the biggest eye-opener for both of you. Now, he's left with a silence that speaks louder than any words ever could. A silence that tells him exactly what he lost. But one of the most powerful things about moving on peacefully is this: he eventually notices everything he missed. The thing is, it doesn't always happen right away. Sometimes it takes time, sometimes it takes distance. But when it hits him, it hits hard. Because when you move on and do it without bitterness, you become a version of yourself that he doesn't recognize anymore. You've grown, you've healed. You carry yourself differently now, with a glow that's impossible to ignore. Even if he tries, he can't miss it. Maybe he sees it through a mutual friend, maybe he catches glimpses through social media, maybe he runs into you by accident, but whenever it happens, there's that sudden painful realization he lost something truly valuable. Because back then he might have thought you'd always be around. He might have believed he had endless time to get it right, but life doesn't wait, and neither do you. Now, the love, energy, and kindness you once poured into him, it's being poured into your dreams, your passions, your own beautiful life. And he's just a spectator now, watching what he once had from the sidelines. It's not about making him jealous. It's not about making him hurt. It's about you becoming who you were always meant to be, without needing anyone else to complete you. And in doing so, you show him in the clearest way possible what he lost. And that's what stings the most.